Update 71. Subs. One new sub. Not enough for a full line, but enough for a little notch right there. Thanks for joining, number 72. I was going through a English curriculum book recently, looking at some of the lessons, and I started reading them. Some of these are totally useless. In fact, a lot of them are. The exercises, I think they're going about it all wrong. Writing needs to be an extension of thinking. Fiction writing, it's an extension of an idea that you've had. The manifestation of an idea. That's what all art is, really. I mean, your own writing should not be something that a robot could make. The writing that you should be doing, which they're not assigning to people, is something that helps you continue a thought. Whether it be an argument that you're having between you and somebody else. Writing could be helping you just understand more about something. It should not be an assignment that says, here are all the things you need to do, have this many citations in it, it needs to be this many words or this many pages, make sure it's double-spaced, otherwise you get docked points. That's not writing. That's just following instructions. That's not an extension of thinking. That's bad. That is bad writing. You can tell a robot to do that, and that's fine, and you get an A for it. And that's why I say people who are able to get A's for stupid assignments that they're assigned in school, more power to them if they're able to use AI. Teachers, if you really want to assign something in school that will improve a student's writing, assign them something that they need to handwrite and that they will only do in class, not something that they have to take home and that will take them multiple hours. If you're going to make them write something, do it on your dime. This is a 9th grade, 10th grade English book. Cultivating Attitudes for Good Listening. Exercising the skills of good listening. What? Phrases and clauses. Okay, those are important. Some of these basic ones, you need to be able to identify them in order to know how to manipulate them. But the ones that are like verbals and clauses as nouns, that's something that you learn as a byproduct of being exposed to writing, and writing a lot. I guarantee you that your job paying you $19.50 an hour in sales and then you get a kick from commission isn't going to ask you whether or not a verbal is a noun. Apply that to any job. Unless you're like taking the minutes for a court case and it's like crucial that you know what like a verbal is when it's a noun, why the heck is there an entire lesson in here devoted to that? It's ridiculous. If you want to get better at writing, write and read. If you want to teach people to get better at writing, make them write and then let them in on the rules later, because all the rules of writing are supposed to be are guidelines to help your writing be easier to read. As long as your writing is easy to read and understand and is applicable to the audience that you're writing it to, I would count it as good writing. I don't care if you missed a period or you italicized something that didn't need to be italicized. Bold print, you should be careful with that. I think I'm going to keep talking about this book. I wouldn't say complain about it, because the only time that you're really allowed to critique something or criticize it is if you have a solution in addition to your criticisms. Look, there's me. Oh, see that white light? That's you. In update 70, my previous update, Cirrus, you asked me whether I'm a planner or a pantser. I don't even know what a pantser means. Okay, let's go on Urban Dictionary. A term that means you fly by the seat of your pants when you're writing your novel. How have I never heard of this word before? That is a $5 word right there. I appreciate knowing that word now. It's a little bit of both. It's very gray when I start out. I have an amorphous idea of like what the story is, but I know that certain main events happen at certain spots, and I start pulling on the threads that lead me eventually to that spot, and then to that next spot, and to the next spot, and I never plan the ending. I think that's important. The what if method that I have going, where I say, what if this happened? What if there were two assassins that were hired to kill one another, and when they met each other, they realized they were huge fans of each other? Like, I have no idea how that ends. Maybe they kill each other. Maybe one of them kills the other. Maybe they go and kill the people that hired them. I don't know. Part of it was planning. I was like, okay, I'm going to force these two people into a situation. I forced. But now that they're in that situation, I have no control over how they react. So there's a bit of a give and take with the story, which I feel like people don't really understand, especially if you don't write very many stories. But it's important. Man, I forget who said it, but he said story writing is nothing more than creating characters and then stumbling along after them with a pen and a paper, writing down everything they do. That is the key way to write all the stories. Stephen King would agree. He starts with the what if. The story of Cujo, when he almost got attacked by a St. Bernard in real life, and then he was like, you know what if there was a dog that was rabid? Eventually it turned into what would happen if he trapped, I think, a mom and her son in a car. I didn't read the book, I didn't watch the movie. I should probably get around to doing that, because it's one of his more famous ones. He used the what if method there. I mean, was that planning? Not really. But he definitely had an image of a situation. Here's the thing with story writing. Stephen King once said that he doesn't carry a notebook with him because it's the best way to immortalize a bad idea. I've said that in a previous video. Part of me agrees, part of me disagrees, as you know. It really comes down to what your writing style is. For me, my writing is an extension of my thinking. My notebooks are an extension of my mind. It's not immortalizing bad ideas, it's immortalizing any of the ideas I have. Our brains are not designed to remember things, they're designed to make new connections. They can remember things. That's not ultimately their design. As far as planning goes, so some of the first story ideas that I had date back to like 10 years ago. They gradually compiled over time. There were different little pieces of movies or trailers or feelings or details to life that eventually I picked up on. And that's something that I didn't understand when I was younger, but as you grow older, you'll pick up on those little things and form some kind of a bank of random little experiences and details that eventually you start making different connections with, which is why I find it important to have a notebook. So now that I have a huge store of these random little details, eventually they'll start coming together and clicking in different ways that I never would have anticipated, and I will be doing the randomest stuff. Usually it's when I'm in my car. Sometimes it's when I'm doing dishes. Sometimes it's... Okay, a lot of it happens when I'm watching other people talk, like I'm having to sit still. So if you ever have the opportunity... Man, I don't know what it is, but my mind just starts wandering to some of the craziest places, and then I'll be like, holy cow, that's a great story idea. This is how I start a book. I think of the first interesting moment of the story, and I start from there. Like, if it's not interesting to me, it's not going to be interesting to the reader. So how I start the Astronomy Club with the sentence, the teenagers had wanted a party that night. They had no intention of being eaten. I think that approach will unfailingly give you a good first step. You need to write a bunch of stories in order to figure out your style and where anything's going and how to write at all. Other stories, I just keep compiling details for and tucking away for when I know I'm going to write them. I mean, you know that I'm going to write 36 of them. If you have 30% of a story, you have more than enough material to start writing. That quote is my own. I can feel that there's more to this answer rattling around somewhere in my head, but I will save it for another video. Pancakes for this morning. I did not get down 1,000 words. Quite honestly, I didn't even get down one word in the span of between the updates, but this has been update 71.